One of the things we hear about real estate professionals is that they want to invest in real estate themselves. And this conversation with Hayden Bell, he talks about why he has a unique perspective from the real estate game. He has been an inspector in the past. His family's been in the real estate business, and now he's doing his own real estate investing. And he tells you in this conversation about how he learned and how his perspective has changed as he's moved through his real estate career. It's a great conversation. Check out this conversation with Hayden Bell.
Welcome to the podcast. We got my good buddy Hayden Bell here today. Kaizen, right?
Kaizen Home Sales out of Baton Rouge.
Kaizen Home Sales out of Baton Rouge. But more importantly, you're a real estate investor. And I think it's good. We have a different.
That's how I know him. I know him as a client.
Yeah. And it's going to be a great perspective because a lot of real estate agents come into this business and they come and talk to us because they want to be real estate investors at some point, but they don't take the step, have the courage to do that. And I think that you're going to be able to give a perspective of both not only to a seller in a distressed situation, but also to other realtors that may want to join your team and be a part of what you're doing and say, okay, well, Hayden actually is taking that step and taking that risk. And like you said, you're being really successful at it, almost as successful as an investor as you are as an agent. So I'm excited to get into this conversation. So like, what made you get into the real estate business in the first place? Because most people think of it as an easy area to get into to make quick money, right? But that's not the reality of it. So what made you get into this deal in the first place?
Yeah, real estate was never the plan. You know, it's not like I grew up wanting to be a realtor.
Yeah.
But this is how it happened. When I was 22, I became a fireman, and I was always a carpenter, the son of a carpenter. So I would work 24-hour days, 10 days a month at the fire station at the city of Baton Rouge, and then go swing a hammer and sweat in the sun.
Because firemen are hustlers. Have you noticed this?
All of them.
Every fireman, y'all got that extra off time. You're a
unless
hustler.
your wife makes money, you got to have a second job.
Right.
You know, it's an important job, but it's not a high-paying job.
Mm-hmm.
So most all firemen have a second or third source of income.
Yeah.
And I was 22. I was young. I thought I didn't really have the mindset of I could do more than this. Like I thought I would be a fireman until I retired and swing a hammer with my dad until he retired. Right.
He was a carpenter. Was he building houses or?
He was a framer.
Okay.
Yes.
Very cool.
That's how my dad started construction as well.
And then the flood happened, and it was more so trim carpentry and remodeling, just out of a need.
Yeah.
But anyway, I see my dad, who was the hardest worker I know, just his body's beaten, right? So I'm brainstorming, what can I do to where I'm not an old crippled man who just swung a hammer for 30 years?
Yeah.
And I landed on home inspection. It's kind of
I had that for a long time.
I had the construction background.
Yeah.
Researched it, got licensed, called every realtor I knew, went to every brokerage, just give me a chance. You know, at this point I'm a 26-year-old baby face who who wants to trust me to do their inspection.
Yeah, but I mean, if I'm looking at somebody who's a firefighter who has that type of service community-based oriented mindset, their dad's been a carpenter, which you've seen how houses should be structured. You've probably been a part of every aspect of the building process, right? You frame the house all the way to put it in the trim work. You're seeing, I mean, you're falling into the line.
It kind of worked. You know, there was so much for me to learn. You know, electrical, HVAC, and it's not like as a home inspector, we knew a little about a lot, not a lot about any of it, but enough to know,
smart.
Hey, something's wrong. Let's call the AC guy.
sure.
Let's call the electrician. Yeah. My wife would sometimes say that a home inspection seemed like a scam because I'm just going to tell you to call someone smarter than me.
Yeah.
But anyway, we grew. So Bell Home Inspections, I started doing 2 inspections a month, 5 inspections a month, 10 inspections a month. You know, I was growing. I was making a little money. And then Kyle Horton, owner of HDMK, kind of found me through mutual people we knew and offered me the opportunity. At this time, HDMK was fairly young. He was doing 70 inspections a month all by himself. He needed help.
Oh, wow.
So although, I worked for him for a split, like a commission split, the opportunity to look legit in a company vehicle.
Yeah.
You know, have support and guidance from Kyle.
Do you have one of those little cars like they always have around?
Eventually I owned 3 of them. So, you know, and I learned so much from Kyle, and just expanded that's kind of where the growth mindset was introduced to me.
Yeah, the Harden guys definitely have a mindset of growth, right? You know, Eric and I talk often about, he'll text me and just want to pick my brain about things we're doing, things they're doing, and they definitely, you know, obviously we all are trying to figure out our place and our way, and we struggles, but like it seems as though they're thinking that whenever we have conversations with them, which is always refreshing to hear.
For sure. So I started doing, you know, 20, 25, 30, 35 inspections a month while being a fireman. And then as HDMK grew, I had the opportunity to become a franchisee. So Tangipahoa Hope Parish was me, and I grew Tangi from 0 HDMK inspections a month to consistently 80, 90, 100 inspections a month. Wow. with 3 inspectors.
Nice.
And that went well. This was like the boom. This
was
was
when
real estate was
to
selling,
grow.
Right? And then Eric actually wanted to expand his company, and kind of halfway jokingly wanted to buy my territory. Well, that went on for a little while until, okay, let's talk about it. You know, we worked out a deal. Eric purchased Tangi, so now he's bigger. But what was I going to do? I had a real estate license. I didn't know how to use it. I knew how to pass the exam.
Because as an inspector at HDMK, you all had your license, right?
Right. We had a license simply as a value add.
Yep.
You know, we could schedule in showing time, we could open the door. And you don't have to come or don't have to come the whole time.
Yeah.
Or whatever. So really, after that, I kind of wanted, I said, I think I want to build houses. I want to be a contractor. Okay.
Full circle. All right.
So not necessarily the man on the hammer swinging it, but the contractor. I want to build some spec houses, you know, maybe build custom houses. I call another great agent and contractor and investor in our area, Stephen Emmons, and ask what he thinks. And he said, come work for me. So I did for a little while. I learned a lot from him. And something I always remember from Steve is you got to get the reps. You know, I didn't know anything about his job, his world, but I worked for him and I observed and I watched, and, you know, I kind of managed his jobs for about half a year. And then, you know, it was time for me to go start doing my own thing. So I was trying to be a contractor, be an agent. Wasn't really doing either well. Yeah. You know, had one foot here, one foot there. And then my aunt needed to move out of state. Sold her house quickly, and I made $12,000. I was like, okay. I dual-sided a $380,000 house.
Nice.
And I said, okay, like, I think I'm going to go real estate with both feet.
Yeah. And
try this. So, and now the market has changed from when I was doing 100 inspections a month. Yeah. Mm-hmm. It's not as easy as those years made it look.
Right.
So I'm planting seeds for 4 months, 5 months, 6 months with seemingly no harvest, you know, just telling everyone I know this is what, look, you know, I don't know if you've heard, I've sold my home inspection company, this is what I'm doing. And then I felt almost kind of silly at 33 years old at the moment, like switching again. It's like, gosh, Hayden, like every time I talk to you, you've done something different. You're doing something different, like stick to something. But anyway, those seeds started sprouting, real estate, you know, listings, buyers. And I'm doing okay with real estate. I think that first full 12 months as a realtor full-time, I did 26, 28 transactions.
That dog hunt. I mean, I can't tell you how many realtors do that.
You know, it's not like I'm not sitting here today saying I got it figured out. But something Wyatt Graves, I would say I've had 3 mentors, whether they knew it or not: Kyle, Steve Emmons, and Wyatt Graves, who's now my broker. And he says all the time, ready, fire, aim. And I think that's the difference in me is, like, I don't have to figure it out. I don't have systems in place. but I know what I want to do, and I'll figure it out
Take
as I
action.
go. So
Yeah.
take action. Ready, fire, aim.
Yeah.
You know, I've even said to sellers, like, you know, because they ask, how long have you been selling real estate? Because I talked to, you know, old Mrs. Smith, who's been selling real estate for 20 years. Look, to be honest with you, I'm not going to be the most experienced one, but I'm going to work hard and I'm going to figure it out.
Yeah.
And, you know, I've gotten listings. You know, I was calling for sale by owners and expireds and everyone in my phone and every person I've ever done a home inspection for, actually.
Wow.
Yeah.
But see, I mean,
Because I did home, you know, I've done 6 years of home inspections. Okay.
Right.
What's the kind of turnaround of how long people stay in a house? It's almost time. And I've gotten several listings from people I've done home inspections for in the past.
Very cool.
the perspective of somebody who's been in every area of real estate, you add like a lot of real estate agents who are helping people buy and selling houses every day have probably gone through the home buying process 2 or 3 times in their life. If you've been doing it for 20, 25 years, you know what I'm saying? So like your perspective is different. You have the inspection background, which again, you as a real estate agent, even if you hire an inspector, you still have to be able to interpret that inspection and understand like what needs to happen and who you need to call. But then also the perspective of somebody who's been through the building process or been a part of it when the framing or the trim work, like you said, with you and your dad. There's a different perspective than anybody else has.
Yeah.
And then, you know, you didn't even touch on the fact that you've now owned or acquired and flipped or bought subject to, and you've been a real estate investor, right? And I think that, and correct me if I'm wrong, but one of the most proud parts of your career is that you are able to invest in deals and help out people in more than one way. You can help them by more than just listing their house and selling it. You can come in as an investor and help them avoid a foreclosure personally by buying property and flipping it, or finding them an end buyer who's an investor through some sort of a wholesale type of a deal, right?
Yeah, I think a seller needs options. You know, sometimes I'll meet with a seller and we don't have time or equity or whatever to do a regular listing.
Yeah.
So, you know, sometimes you got to, here's the easy button, I'll buy it for this cash, or I'll pay up your arrears and take it over subject to, or we could list it, or we could even do what we call at Kaizen, a fix-in list, where I'll invest some of my, let's say it needs a roof, you know, and it really, you know, sometimes the repairs, the juice isn't worth the squeeze.
For
but
sure.
That's kind of, I guess, an advantage I have is being able to walk through a home with a seller who wants to make the house perfect or doesn't want to do anything on either side of the spectrum and say, you know, let's do this, this, and this. The other 10 items,
This is what matters.
that's exactly.
This is what matters.
That's not going to move the needle on the purchase price or the sellability of it.
Yeah.
We just bought a building.
And if they don't have money to do it, like, okay, I'll put $6,000 into this house to get it back at closing.
For sure.
You know, I think that's a missed opportunity if agents won't do that.
Yeah.
Well, some of them don't have that open mindset or the problem-solving mindset, right? Like Jared said, when you come with a different perspective, you're going to come with different solutions, right? Than somebody that's just, my solution is to list your home and find you a buyer. And that's okay. I mean, I feel like there's a fit for every single, you know, type of person. Y'all are looking at a different client. But we just recently bought a building in Slidell next to our existing office building. And when they came to us before they listed it, they were like, I know we got to put a lot of work in. And I'm like, don't do anything. Like, I am going to change everything to my standard anyway. Like, save your money and give me a better price. Don't do a single thing.
Nice.
And sometimes that's the answer, right? When it just doesn't make sense for them to put their own money into it. So I love that you're coming to them with other options that are not traditional.